Smile. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Evan Kirstel here. Super intriguing chat today on maximizing AI and automation in the enterprise with a global powerhouse, Wesco. How are you, Max?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks so much for joining in advance of UiPath Forward. It's going to be an exciting time to dive into these topics, but you are indeed an expert in these areas. Maybe start with some introductions. First of all, who is Wesco and what is your role and mission within the company?
Sounds great. So Wesco is a Fortune 200 wholesale distribution company on a mission to build, power, connect, and protect the world. As such, we are partnering with about 50,000 suppliers, hundreds of thousands of customers. Majority of Fortune 100 customers would be our customers, as well as a lot of smaller companies. And then we transact millions of product across all the different industries, and we're about 20 plus thousand employees strong. So it's a very large global enterprise located across the globe. And the role of my COE is to empower individual productivity, empower the automation across the enterprise. We're a global COE. We're servicing everybody and anybody in the company. So the mission here is really find the savings, find the efficiencies, and ultimately be the customer of choice to our supplier and supplier of choice to our customers.
Wow, amazing mission. The scale of what you're doing is pretty impressive. Maybe talk about your personal or professional journey with AI and automation in your enterprise, and how did you start and how did you scale that program over time to be as successful as you are?
So we started. My background comes from supply chain optimization. I am always been able to find myself somewhere on the fence between IT and business, and over the years, I've been told multiple times that I need to pick a side, and I successfully refused to do that. So I'm still somewhere in between. And what I used to do on the supply chain side is trying to optimize the supply chain inventory levels, provide the reporting, provide the data. And one of the obvious challenges that comes with that is that we can do a lot within our four walls. But the moment you try to automate something that you don't control, whether it's a customer or supplier or partner, you figure out that your options are really dependent on their capabilities and their willingness to work with you. And those are all over the place. So around 2018, 2019, we got a wind of UiPath. We started chatting with them, and I quickly realized the potential there. We should be able to really extend the same automations that we're doing in-house by changing traditional systems into that larger ecosystems of partners. And then as we started doing that journey, we also realized that there are a lot of things that are just not big enough for IT to do. Then great things they needed by business. They are helping us to over-service our customers or make it easier for suppliers to deal with us as a customer, but they're not easy to do for our own IT. So can we throw a bot at it? A lot of times the answer is yes. So we became really the COE that helps everybody and anybody with those efficiency gains and productivity gains and empowering business to do the things that they just couldn't do without robots. I will throw a quick example here. As a wholesale distributor, we have hundreds of thousands of open purchase lines at any point of time. There is not enough human power to check the status of each line on a daily basis. But if we could do that, we can go to our customers and say, we know exactly when the product is coming, or we know it as well as our suppliers do. So you can trust our dates. That's a game changer for a customer who needs to line up the equipment on a job site or bring the people in and then find out that the product is not available. So that type of things are very automatable. We can throw the bots at it, and the bots do great things. The other thing that we also realized is that there are a lot of work that our people are doing and not exactly happy about doing it. It could be something that has to be done manual, repetitive, and everything else. And think about it this way. If your title is an analyst, you shouldn't be gathering data. You should be analyzing that data. So if an analyst comes to work and spends first 2 hours trying to pull all the data together, and then after that, they start working and they have 6 hours of work day instead of 8, what if we change that narrative? What if we allow the bots to get the data for them before they show up to work. They show up to work, and now you have 8 hours of productivity out of the analyst. And by the way, that analyst is a lot happier. So we started doing a lot of this type of automations. And as we got more mature, smarter, technology got better, AI became a factor. And within that technology, we were able to convince UiPath to make some changes for us, which is pretty cool when we started working a little bit closer and saying, hey, here's what we're trying to solve. Can you guys help us? And I'm yet to hear no from UiPath on those things. We started to see more and more opportunities, more and more pipeline.
Wow, very impressive. And what strategies did you find personally effective for, showing ROI early on and then keeping that momentum to build that automation pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the ROI, it was a strike of luck more than anything else. When we started the COE, I started the COE around 2019. I was interviewed for this job as an internal candidate by a CFO of the company. And one of the things I mentioned in there how I see the ROI, and then I got lectured a little bit how I should see the ROI. And I completely aligned with that. I said, you know what, I'm not going to spend time fighting the CFO organization how to measure the ROI. They're the professionals, they know it. Let them tell me how to do it, and I will adjust to their metrics. And the only thing I can ask in return is that can we keep those metrics stable, and can we keep those metrics consistent to the extent that I'm not going to be challenged if I can prove that we measure the things exactly that they want us to do that. And we came up with a set of metrics. It's all about either productivity or creating new productivity that would never be possible without the bots. And it's a kind of a stopwatch metrics where everybody understands why if we're saying that we're saving this many hours, we're doing that. And you can stop in front of a worker with a stopwatch and see that. And if there was nobody else doing this work before that, we can still measure the time in an objective way. So we did that. It may not be the most glorious metric. I'm sure not looking as cool as some of my peers in the industry that measure it more on the derived savings and things like that. I'm fine with it because the benefit of that is that the pressure I get from the organization is more so along the lines, are you sure you're not understating the metrics? It's opposite to, hey, can you stop overstating and I'm not seeing the P&L impact that you're claiming that we're going to see. This said, we are very much ROI conscious. I don't want to build any automations, not a single one, that is not delivering the return on the investment. And that goes to traditional RPA or AI or any combination of those. If we're doing something, we better have a use case and we better have the numbers aligned behind that use case to make it reasonably attractive for the company to do. Yes, there are some things that we do just because they're the right things to do. An example of that, when we started, I realized that there is a person whose job involved logging in at 6:30 p.m. to kickstart the report for 5 minutes. They just need to log in for 5 minutes, kickstart the job, and then they get out of that screen and go proceed with their family dinner or whatever activities. And that's pretty miserable as far as the employee satisfaction, as far as employee life, right? So we built that automation to just kickstart the job for them. Didn't take us long. And yeah, it's probably negative ROI in that sense, but we do enough of the positive ROI to be able to squeeze few of those every now and then. But other than that, that's the ROI that we have. And then as far as the pipeline, what we found is that there are multiple ways of coming to it. And probably the best thing to do is utilize all of them. It's coming from the top, where we work extensively. I work extensively with the C-suite and their direct reports, explaining what the program does, constantly reminding them about the capability. And that gives us a certain endorsement and a certain pipeline. But the much bigger chunk of the pipeline comes from working with the individual employees, trying to do it as a bottom-up initiative. We have a robust citizen developers training. And really, it's not so much of a citizen developer, but more like a citizen ambassador. How can I attract the employees who actually do the work and know the pain points of that work to identify the areas that they want us to improve on and make that a pipeline? And UiPath has a software called Automation Hub that we utilize. What it can do, it can be open for single sign-on to everybody in the company, all I need to do is evangelize and show the capabilities. And all of a sudden, the ideas start showing up in the automation hub. And by asking the right questions within that framework, we can quickly assess and understand how worthwhile those automations are and prioritize where we want to reach out to the users immediately or where it could spend a little bit more time on a backlog. And the third avenue of the pipeline that we see is really the pipeline coming from the sort of sideways of lean process improvement and Six Sigma's type of activities where somebody reinvents the process. I do my best to educate those folks on what automation can do for them. So they bring back the pipeline, and a combination of top down, bottom up, and sideways is allowing us not to worry about the pipeline. Back in 2019, there was a brief period of time when I did not have a pipeline. I had a small team. Luckily, it was small, and we didn't have a project, and it was not a comfortable feeling. And ever since then, I want to make sure that we'll never be in that situation again. Unfortunately, we have more pipeline than we can implement. One thing I will mention is that employee education, everybody talks about it. And at some point of time, I just figured, you know what, we all talk about it. How about we do something about it? So what we started doing, and it doesn't take much, is I presented every town hall I can. I presented every employee lunch and learn I can. We have business resource groups, BRGs, for various populations, whether it's Mosaic that targets folks of different origins and skin colors, or veteran groups, or early career groups, or ABLE that targets the people with disability and their allies. And just presenting to this type of groups, just presenting at normal town halls, just presenting at lunch and learns for departments, I'm probably touching about a third of the workforce that have desks. We do have warehouse workers, truck drivers. I'm not going to be very effective selling the automation to folks who don't have a computer. But for those who do have a computer, I want to make sure that I'm in front of them and they know what the technology can do and they're not afraid of it. And as we started that education, the pipeline is no longer an issue for us at all.
Fantastic. I love how you called citizen developers citizen ambassadors. We can all get behind that. So how do you navigate business acceptance and manage, change to bring more people into the fold of being citizen ambassadors?
I'm glad you picked up on that. And changing sort of the narrative from I'm from the corporate, I'm here to automate your jobs, which is non-starter in any organization, to I'm here to help you to get better. I'm here to help you to take more proactive approach to things that you're trying to do. I'm here to help you to be more productive and drive higher job satisfaction. Sounds much better. And by building the citizen ambassadors, it's not the change that I need to manage that comes from the top down, which is quite challenging, but I'm managing the change coming from bottom up. Those citizen ambassadors are the drivers of the pipeline. They navigate the change management. And frankly, a decade ago, when UiPath started, they had a tagline of if you hate it, automate it. And I don't know how I feel about exact wording of that, but there is a lot of truth to the fact that the best automation comes when people doing the work say no longer want to do it. Get the robot to do the work. There is a lot of that. And I'm sure we'll touch on AI, but even in traditional automation world, there is tremendous amount of opportunities to target those things. And then the change management is trivial. Everybody wants that automation. Same thing could be applied to AI-driven automation, agentic, if not processes, where, again, you can position it to be the threat to job security, or you can position it as how can I free you up from the things that you don't like to do so you can spend more time doing the things that you actually do like to do.
Well
That's how we
said.
try to handle it, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about what's beyond RPA to AI, and in particular Gen AI, which has, as you know, so much potential. How do you find the right use cases for these tools in the context of a very complex solution?
Um, I think you answered 90% of the question already. It's all about the contents of a complex solution. Gen AI by itself is an awesome technology, but it might be more of a personal productivity tool. As you stick it into a larger, more complex process and solutions, then it becomes more of an enterprise grade solution, and that requires a lot of clever orchestration. And things used to be simple a decade ago. You would have RPA, you might have some EDI connections, and then nowadays you have all kinds of APIs, all kinds of connectors, all kinds of agents. Orchestrating all that becomes a huge challenge, and that's where I think that a lot of automation break or make it and deliver the ROI or stay in that permanent POC concept status, which I'm not against POCs, but we try to minimize how many POCs we do in favors of let's deliver something that business wants, business uses, and change it into a use case. If it requires a POC, maybe it's not ripe yet to be delivered and designed in our company. So we're trying to be, again, staying extremely laser focused on the impact on ROI. But more specific to Gen AI, I'm sure you've seen a meme where somebody says that you want AI to do the dishes while we do creative writing, as opposite to AI doing creative writing while we do the dishes. There is a lot of truth to that in the enterprise world, and I think the truth comes from the fact that more often than not, IT and Gen AI is particularly good at creative writing and really stinks at doing dishes. So how do we figure out that good mixture and make sure that what business wants, which is get the dishes done, and what Gen AI technology in a traditional IT setting is looking at, which is creative writing, and marry the two together. And it's not difficult as you start saying, okay, well, can we do a little bit of everything? Can our existing bots that already play in ERP systems, already do all kinds of data entry, benefit from an intelligent document processing that is Gen AI based and allows us to extract the data out of a non-structured data, be it or semi-structured data, whichever it is. How can we use Gen AI to craft the emails based on the actions taken by existing RPA solution or a combination of RPA and API and EDI and all kinds of other abbreviations. Gartner did their slides on both, and it looks nice and neat. Well, real world, at least for the companies I ever worked with, is never that neat, and it's more like a spaghetti ball of all kinds of calls, connectors, and everything else. UiPath orchestration allows us to navigate that ball in a fairly clean manner. So what we try to do is we try to say, rather than focusing on 100% Gen AI type of solution that business may not love, let's figure out the business problem and let's try to address it with existing automations plus Gen AI. So it's a win-win for everybody. And again, you mentioned the change management. I think it's the key to any success of any automation program. If you're addressing the problem that business identified and really wants you to address, and the problem is coming bottom up, change management for AI use case is just as trivial as it is for a non-AI use case. Everybody wants it. There is more security considerations, there is more ethics considerations, there is more privacy data and other considerations. But as far as the employee adoption, I really think that by trying to address the problems that users really want us to address, not the problems we can address because we have this cool technology, gives us exactly what we need to move forward.
Fantastic, really exciting stuff. Let's talk about autopilot. What are some of your favorite features, and how do you see it enhancing your automation programs at Wesco over time?
Right. Well, whenever I hear autopilot, copilot, I'm a little, I guess, getting immune to that terminology. Everybody has an autopilot, everybody has a copilot, everybody has something. To me, it's all about figuring out a way to integrate it in the more complex content of enterprise automation and change it from personal productivity, which is great. It's important, and some of that is absolutely winning combination. A lot of that is, frankly, used by us on a daily basis, and I fully appreciate ability of summarizing the meetings or ability to draft emails and a lot of other things that it comes with it. But in enterprise settings, it's more about that orchestration where the autopilot or a copilot or other integrations simply allow us to do more with existing automations. It's more about really taking the same things that we could do in ERPs, but adding a little bit more um, or less rules-based processes to it. Those processes that we do in ERP are the same, but the logic to trigger the process and ability to process the input become infinitely smarter. And that's where I think the co-pilots and the autopilots will allow us to build the automations or to build upon the automations that we already built and see very significant jumps in the ROI and see very significant jumps in adoption because, quite frankly, users are saying, hey, your bots are a little not smart. They're not intelligent at all. Well, Copilot adds that intelligence, and if we cleverly use the same bot, but now with that additional intelligence, we can tackle a lot more use cases.
Fantastic. So we have UiPath Forward coming up, where the whole UiPath ecosystem looks into trends and advancements and roadmap. What are you most excited about when it comes to AI and automation, and what do you think can really shape the future at Wesco?
Well, I am always excited about Forward. I've been to most of them, I think, starting from Forward 2. I spoke at every one of them starting from Forward 2. And I think it's a great conference. It's a great conference as far as all the announcements. It's also pretty cool. And that's unusual, maybe hearing from the program leader. I am excited for the tech day. I am excited to meet the people behind the product, get their input, understand their thinking, maybe offer some of my thoughts and challenges to them. UiPath is extremely receptive to that feedback. Historically, we had a lot of success just by chatting with those folks. So that's always the excitement. And the announcements of the new product that are coming in. And I think we got some sneak previews of those. There was a blog about integration with Microsoft Teams. That's really, I think, is a game changer from a standpoint that our employees already use Teams. So rather than telling people, here's yet another system, here's yet another UI, another interface. You just tell them, go to the place that you already know, type a message, and the magic will happen. That's a lot easier. That's a lot faster, and that will give us the adoption. So I'm looking forward to announcements around that stuff as well. And as far as the future of automation, I mean, I think it's as bright as ever. People say, hey, RPA is dead. I don't see it that way. I think what's happening is orchestration, and UiPath has extremely robust orchestration as it is, and I know they're working on making it more robust and more AI sort of use cases friendly, will allow us to stitch together extremely complex use cases to address the complexities of the world. And frankly, the world of supply chain is not going to be any simpler or any easier. So we can use all the help that we can get from the automation technologies.
Wow. Well, that's quite a mic drop moment. Well, thanks for your time. I know you and your team were extremely busy. Look forward to all the news from Forward and to the updates, and keep up the amazing work, keeping our supply chain humming. Appreciate what you do, Max.
Thank you. Very nice talking to you.
Likewise. And take care, everyone. Thanks so much.